When your life starts to fall apart, it's often not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've changed. And when that happens, everything around you gets volatile. People push, circumstances wobble because they're trying to drag you back into who you used to be. This episode is about staying steady while everything else shakes, and why holding your ground is what lets life finally realign around the truth of who you are now. This is Francisca. This is my mid-crisis life, and today is Crisis Confessionals. Before we start, if you're in a season of change and things feel unstable, you're not alone. Subscribe if you want grounded conversations about growth that doesn't bypass the hard parts. Okay, hey, everybody, welcome back. So firstly, I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I know we're like pretty much halfway through January at this point, but like, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I haven't been on here over the festive season for a lot of different reasons. I think I wanted to take a little break and just, be out of like the routine and the monotony of a routine, because I find that really, really difficult. I also wanted to, spend some time with my family, with my kids. And I wanted to just kind of have that freedom to be able to celebrate. But I think also the other reason why I haven't really been around is because I've really found like Christmas and kind of just like the entire festive season, I found it really, really difficult this year. And, it's really interesting, right? Because everybody says that Christmas is a really difficult time of year. And I know that suicide rates go up and domestic abuse rates go up and depression is really, it's like an epidemic over the Christmas period. But the thing is like, I've never really felt like that. I've always just been like, what are you not talking about? Like, why is everybody suddenly placing all these massive expectations on this particular time of year? And then that's causing everybody to be at like extremes in terms of their mental health, right? I'm just like, it's just a day. Like, it's just another experience that's kind of the same as a Sunday. Like, I don't get it, right? But I do understand like why, this can feel really challenging. And it's because it's like, that whole time where everybody's supposed to be with family and there's supposed to be this kind of spirit of togetherness and forgiveness and love and all of that sort of stuff. Like, but really, I think the reason why I've never really bought into it is because it's just a lot of commercialism. Like, Christmas is just about like, seeing adverts on TV where your whole family's together and everybody's celebrating and loving one another. And it's just this really warm, cozy, lovely time. And if you don't have that, then you feel like you're lacking in some way, right? So I've always just been like, it's just capitalist bullshit, right? To make us feel like we should be doing something and then going out and buying presents or going out and having big dinners or going out and getting fucked because we don't have presents and dinners and togetherness and all this shit, right? So I've never really felt it, but actually this Christmas, this New Year, this festive season is the first time where I've really actually felt quite depressed and really quite down. And I think a lot of it has just felt really lonely and I've felt really alone. And I found myself over this period of time just feeling this real sense of loss and this real sense of loneliness and this real sense of desperation. Like, just really, really wanting for it to be something and for it to feel a certain way and it not feeling that way. And I've just really found myself like feeling really desperate just to have something, to take something, to take the edge off it, right? So I'm just like, where can I find some weed? Like, I just want to smoke myself into oblivion. I just want to like drink and not feel this way. And it's just been super, super, super intense. I've wanted to just like I'm calling family and I'm like, what are you doing? Can I come around? Can I come and be with you? Like, because I just really have just felt really, really alone. And going through this period, it really reminded me of this time just before I went to Costa Rica and then my entire life changed, right, for the better. There was this period where I had broken up with my ex and I had decided I don't want to live this lifestyle that everybody's living, this really like hedonistic, like drug-fueled lifestyle that everybody is living down here. I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be a part of it. And all my friends had said to me like, of course, man, of course, we'll come around. We'll see you for Sunday dinners. We'll invite you out. We can go for walks. There's loads of stuff that we can do. And then once I broke up with my ex and decided I was out, I literally did not see another human soul for about 5 months. There was 5 months in the middle of lockdown, which nobody, by the way, in Liverpool was paying any attention to. Even the security guards outside Tesco's, they were just like, you got a mask? No. Okay. I just let people do what they wanted. And I actually think that's why the government started lockdown in Liverpool, because it's such a close-knit community and it's such a rebellious nature in that place. They thought, you know what, if we can tame these lot, then the rest of the country is really not going to be a problem. But to the fore, like, nobody really cared. No one was like, dobbing their neighbours in for having people round. The kids were out on the street playing with one another. It was actually a really nice time, right? Other than the fact that I was just completely isolated and alone for like this really long chunk of it towards the end, right? And I remember towards the end of those 5 months of like literally seeing not another human soul, and the only people I had around me were my kids, and it's not like they're my kids now where, they're 22 and they're 15. It was like a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old, and a 15-year-old that has no interest whatsoever in having any type of human contact, right? Is just very happy to be alone and likes his own time. And then even the time that we would spend together, it would be very much based on like what he wanted to do, what he wanted to talk about, the very singular interests that he has as an autistic person. And then an 8-year-old who was 8, right? So yeah, I remember towards the end of that period of time just feeling so desperate and so lonely and so alone that I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to call these people. I'm like, cool, if I have to just be back in that lifestyle, all right, I'm going to do it, because I cannot actually bear this loneliness. I cannot bear this isolation anymore. And it was like, the way I remember it, it was like I'd been like digging my way through this tunnel and digging and digging and digging and digging and digging. And I was so far down the tunnel that I couldn't see any light, and it was suffocating. And I was just exhausted from the exertion that it took to be digging this tunnel, hoping at some point the light is going to be there. And, people talk about this point of like the point of being past the point of no return, right? When it's actually further to go back than it is to continue. But the problem is that when you're digging a tunnel, you don't know where the end is, right? So you don't know when you're past the point of no return. You don't know when you're about to break through. And I just at that point felt like I just need to down tools. I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't keep going. I can't. But something in me had resolve, and something in me told me, no, you need to keep going. Just keep going. It's going to be fine. And I'm like digging with my fingers at this point, and like I'm on my stomach crawling through this hole. And, little did I know, I was like this far away from breaking through, from finding the light. And it was literally within 2 weeks of me saying like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back. I refuse to do that. I don't care how tired I am. I trust and I believe that there is light at the end of this tunnel. If I just keep going, I feel like I'm almost there. And it was within 2 weeks that like everything changed. Everything changed. My entire life changed. And then from my life changing and making all of those changes, my entire being changed. And I am a completely different person now, right? Because I made that decision not to do it, right? And this moment over this Christmas period has felt very, very similar to that. I've been reminiscing about that time, because over Christmas I felt like, you know what? I just need something, right? And you know what? Maybe I should just call those people that I don't want to talk to anymore, like call those relationships that I know that are unhealthy for me, because anything is better than this. Anything. I cannot stand this anymore. And I was reminded of this, and I was reminded of feeling that way previously. And I was so much more sure and so much more steady about the fact that I did not want to do that I would not do that I was not going to do that, right? And I've pushed through, and I'm still in the middle of that tunnel for sure, right? But it feels not easier, but I just feel stronger, right? In not making that decision to go back to these people and not go back to that lifestyle, right? So anyway, on New Year's Eve, because I was going through this whole thing of like, I just need something to take the edge off of this. This is too much. And I can really see how people actually like self-medicate with alcohol, with drugs, with various different things, right? Because sometimes it just feels completely untenable. It just feels like I can't live with this feeling. Like I can't exist at the moment with this feeling, right? So anyway, I'd gone on Christmas Day. I took my kids to the Hard Rock Cafe and, paid £200 to watch them complain about the cold, complain because they didn't want to wear Christmas jumpers, not bring any coats with them. So when we went for a walk, complain about the fact of, how long are we going to be walking for? And I don't want to do it. We also did, though, have fun with the waiter, who was very handsome, and my kids clocked like, are you flirting with the waiter? And then they realised like, oh, the waiter's flirting with you. And then we just started calling him Dad behind his back. He was only about 25, but he was like, new Dad. So we were like, where's Dad with the entrees? Anyway, so it was good and whatever else, but I was like really desperate, and I was like, where can I get some drugs? I want to get some weed. I want to go home and smoke myself into oblivion. And I couldn't find any, but some guy gave me gummies, right? I'm like, all right, cool. Gummies will do. But I didn't. I went home and I just sat in my misery instead. Anyway, so on New Year's Eve, I still had the gummies, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do some gummies on New Year's Eve. So I went to my friend's house because I was supposed to go for dinner with my brother. Well, I did go for dinner with my brother. And then afterwards, we were supposed to go to Greenwich Park to go and watch the fireworks. But the government locked off the fucking park, yeah, which, by the way, as a side note, yeah, I think is absolutely disgusting. And for me, is kind of like the epitome, the personification of what capitalism is. It's like, we're going to charge you for these fireworks and we're going to lock off anywhere that you might be able to go to that you could watch them for free. Yeah, you can't have that. Unless we're making money off you, you don't get to share in the festivities. And actually, I spoke with a friend of mine who said that he was watching the fireworks because he lives in Hammersmith and he'd gone to like the edge of the barrier to watch them. And at midnight, stood and watched the police viciously beat the crap out of some kid who, oh my God, tried to jump the fence and get into the fireworks for free. You know, he didn't steal anything. He didn't harm anybody. He's not some sort of mastermind criminal. No, he's just a kid who wanted to watch the fireworks for free. And the police pulled him down and beat the crap out of him. And I just think it's just fucking absolutely disgusting. But anyway, so on New Year's Eve, I was supposed to go out for dinner with my brother and then go to Greenwich and watch the fireworks, but they locked off the park. They locked off every single park in Greenwich. You can't do that. So my friend had said to me, come to my house. She lives in Southeast London where I grew up. We'll go to there's like another park in Southeast London where we live and it's quite high up and you can see like all the river and everything from there. So she's like, we'll go there. So anyway, I turn up there and I've got these gummies and I'm like, does anybody want a gummy? I'm going to take a gummy. And a couple of people took gummies with me and whatever else. And then literally, I don't know, 20 minutes after I took the gummies, they were like, right, let's go. We're going to walk up to the hill. So we marched at full speed uphill to this place. And by the time I got up there, I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, the gummy kicked in and we were there for about 25 minutes and the fireworks went off at midnight and where we were standing, there wasn't a really good view. So I moved further up the hill and I was watching these fireworks go off, right, coming up on this gummy. And it's just like the most euphoric thing, right? There's like, you can see the fireworks display here, 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 and they're all going off at different times because they've all got their own thing going on, but we're getting the whole of it, right? Across the whole of the Thames in London, we can see everything, plus they're setting fireworks off in the park, and it was just like, I'm like, God, this is amazing. Anyway, I really wanted to check in with myself at midnight and see, how do I feel? Right? Because someone said to me, how you feel at midnight or whatever you're doing at midnight, that's how you spend the rest of the year. And it's probably a load of codswallop, right? But I also feel like there may be some merit to it, right? So I was like, I want to see how I feel. Anyway, I remember standing on this hill. I'd moved away from everybody else. I was on my own, just having this experience, watching this thing, thinking about how beautiful this was and what an amazing opportunity there was. And I remember as they counted down to midnight, I was stood there and what I felt is I just felt really powerful. And I felt like, you know what, I'm here on my own. And usually if I veer away from the group that I'm in, I feel like, oh, why has nobody come with me? Nobody wants me here. Nobody cares about me. I'm all alone. But I didn't. I just felt like I am all alone. But actually, how fucking powerful is that? And I felt so empowered in that moment. And there was this real sense of like excitement and I don't know, like just, yeah, excitement for the year to come. It just felt like I cannot wait for what is to come in 2026. And even if I'm here all by myself, that's pretty amazing, actually. And it just felt like this whole amazing. And doing that, well, just actually as a side note, after the fireworks, my friend was like, right, let's go. Like started marching us down the hill. And I swear to God, yeah, I pulled a whitey as we were walking down the hill. And I remember on at least 3 occasions, my eyes rolling back in my head and me being like, I'm going to pass out. But I thought, you know what, I cannot pass out in front of a load of 15-year-old boys because I took a gummy and I can't handle it. Anyway, I was speaking to a couple of people that took it with me and they were like, oh, no. Same. Like I was struggling on the way home. It's a side note. Anyway, after New Year and having that experience and whatever else, yeah, I really, and also everything that happened over the Christmas period and this really difficult period of I don't know, like low mood or whatever it is that I've been in where I've been really struggling. It's really made me reflect on the year that I had last year. And, you know, so much changed last year for me. And, you know, all of it is because I made that decision that I was not going to be this person anymore. I was not going to be this people pleaser. I was not going to be a good girl. I was not going to validate myself with other people. That I was just going to be me. And you know what? You like it, you don't, fuck off. Like, I don't really care. I know who I am and I think I'm a good person, right? And because of it, I lost so many things and I lost so many people. And, you know, it showed over Christmas because these are the people that I would use as a crutch. These are the people that I would use when I needed just something, anything to get me through, like knowing full well that they weren't really healthy for me, knowing full well that they didn't really respect me, knowing full well that they didn't really want me to put in boundaries. And then when I put in boundaries, they were like, yeah, I'm out, right? But the thing is I think, I feel the reason why I know that I feel powerful alone. And I felt that powerfulness and I felt that empowerment and I felt that excitement and that kind of wanderlust, right, for the year to come is because invariably that version of me that was holding me back and keeping me caged in unhealthy relationships, in unhealthy thought patterns, in that kind of lack mentality, that version of me has fully gone now. It's done, right? And this year, 2025, has been about, last year, 2025, has been about shedding everything that was no longer a part of that, right? And the thing is that what happens when you start putting in boundaries, what happens when you start changing that version of yourself, is that the people around you, really, they have three options. They can leave, and a lot of the time that's what happens, because you're now vibrating at a different level, right? Your frequency has changed and you're now up here, right? And the people that are down here, there's three choices. They can either say, yeah, no, I don't want to do that, right? And they naturally just kind of like, bye-bye, fly, see you later. Or they change and they recognize, oh, okay, if I want to be in your life, I need to meet you up here. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to meet you up here. Or they vehemently rage. They vehemently rage against you and against who you've become and against changing and adapting into this new version of you, this new version of reality that there is, right? I see that happening with a lot of people around me, which is why I've lost a lot of people, friends and family and all the rest of it. I see the people who have decided to come and meet me where I am, which is a beautiful thing. And I see now how valuable those relationships are, but I also see the ones who are really struggling with that change. And I think to the fore, to the people that are struggling with that is my kids. Like my youngest son, not so much. I had a conversation with him the other day, said, I'm really, really proud of you. But yeah, it's difficult. I'm proud that you finally stood up, and I'm proud that you're finally putting in boundaries and you're finally saying, no, this is who I am and you need to accept it. But it has been hard. In particular, my eldest son is really, really struggling because he's so used to me being a certain version of myself, and he's so used to giving me everything to hold, and he's so used to me being there to support him in every way possible and being his scapegoat and being his emotional punching bag, and then also being his brain and his personal assistance and his guidance counselor and his counselor and his social worker and his psychologist and his employment coach and everything, right? He's so used to me being that and me doing a lot of it out of guilt, that now that I'm not doing it and I'm putting in those boundaries, he's really, really struggling. And you can see the volatility that it's causing him. You can see how much it's destabilizing him. And it made me think about this kind of idea of when you do change, when you finally change and you finally say, no, that version of me is dead, it's gone, yeah? The reason, everything becomes destabilized around you. Life around you feels really volatile. Everything's kind of all over the place and raging, and it's just like this real sense of instability around you. And I think the reason why that is because you're no longer in alignment with your life, right? You and your life have kind of been like this, right? Just moving along together. You've now said, yeah, actually, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going over here. And your life's like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do, right? But I feel and I know, for sure, that the only thing that you can do when life feels like that is be the stability. So life can no longer be the stability around you and life feels unstable. So you have to adopt that role of being the stable one, because being stable and staying stable while everything destabilizes around you is you saying, no, this is the new reality. I am the new reality. And I am not going to go back to, and I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to compromise. This is where I'm heading. This is the trajectory of life now, right? And what happens is that if you can remain stable and if you can remain, if you can have the wherewithal, right, to continue on that road, ultimately, life will realign itself around you again. It has to. There's no other options. And what that means is the things that no longer vibrate at that level, this new trajectory, they go. The things that can change and adapt. That's it. And the other people that are struggling, they have to make that decision about where they want to fall, because you're deciding that you want to be stable. And, the thing with my son, particularly, is that I see that this volatile time where everything really is difficult, I'm really struggling, and I feel personally like I'm at breaking point when it comes to my son's needs and my son's disabilities and how that impacts our lives. And previously, before, it was always teetering on that edge. It was always on that precipice, but I was always saving it from falling off the edge by saying, okay, cool, I'll go back to who you need me to be. All right, cool, I'll go back to who you need me to be, but I'm not doing it anymore. And what's that's doing is it's forcing the change. It's forcing the transition to happen, because he needs to transition. He needs to come out the house. He needs to go and be independent. He needs to find other resources. He needs to widen his support network. It cannot all be me, not now, not as a 25-year-old, not as a 35-year-old, right? And it's when is it okay to do it? When is the right time to do it? I don't know, but it's happening now, right? Because it has to happen. But I think the thing is, right, is like, there's that idea of like it always being darkest before the dawn. And it is, right? It's like, of course it's darkest before the dawn. That's the point at which night is night, right? Before it becomes day again. And I guess I just want to say, like, you know, if you're in this position, if you're trying to shed old versions of yourself, if you're trying to create a new future, if you've decided that actually the trajectory of your life needs to change and you're trying to remain stable and be the stable one throughout it, like, I just want to say to you, like, keep going. The volatility that you see around you is a natural response. It's a natural reaction. It's a natural development from you no longer being in alignment with a life that no longer aligns with you, right? Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. Everything is happening perfectly. Everything is happening exactly as it should do. Everything is happening in the way, at the time, you know, just how it's supposed to, right? So even if it feels difficult, know that this is progress. Like, know that this is things moving forward. Know that this is life moving around you to realign itself with you. So just keep going. Okay, cool. Something I'm grateful for. You know, actually, what I'm really grateful for at this moment in time, I don't often ask for help because I don't often feel unable to cope. Like, I think this period has shown me that everybody has limits, right? And that maybe I wasn't ever breaching those limits by keeping myself contained into this version of me, into this version of life. Now that I have done it and everything's in complete disarray, it's the first time in my life where I'm saying to people, you know what? I'm at breaking point. Like, you know what? I'm really not coping. Like, you know what? I really need some help. I don't know how to do this. Like, and actually what I've seen people pick up for me. I've seen people come and be there for me. I've seen people give me strength. I'm usually the one that's giving people strength and listening to their problems and their woes and giving them guidance. And I've just seen the people in my life that are like, no, we've got you, which is something that I've never really felt before because I've always felt I need to have myself, which is why I've never really stepped out of this, you know? So it's just a beautiful thing. I'm really, 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 really grateful for it. I can't express how grateful I am to be surrounded by people that love me and cherish me and want to protect me and want to be there for me, because this is exactly what I asked for this time last year, you know? So yeah, it's amazing. All right, cool. That is it. Come back tomorrow for Monday Mindset. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we change or not change it, how we can shift our mindset and shift our perspective when we're going through this volatility, to be able to see that everything's perfect, that everything's balanced, that everything's okay, that everything's working exactly as it should do, and not be just like, you know, hyperbole or this, like, you know, trite rubbish that people spin out. Just, yeah, you know, everything's perfect, everything's working exactly as it should do, everything's on time. Actually, how do we do that? Actually, how do we feel that? Actually, how do we get our mentality into that place? So come back for Monday Mindset. That's what we're going to be talking about. And yeah, for now, that's it. If this resonated, stay with me. Tomorrow on Monday Mindset, I'll talk about how to stay grounded when everything feels volatile without pretending it's all fine. I'll see you there.